What's up everybody, I'm Brian and welcome to another episode of Playing Around. MGO is finally here, so today we are going to be showing off some Metal Gear Online 3 gameplay and talk about a little bit of news this week. I first want to start with Nintendo reveals Splatoon and Mario Kart 8 Wii U bundle. This is by Chris Kerr over at gameplayand. And it says a new Wii U bundle will be hitting the UK shelves, it doesn't say anything about the US, on October 30th. Dubbed the Wii U Premium Pack, the bundle will include a 32GB Wii U, a gamepad of the same color. Oh, did I say a black one? It's a black 32GB. And will come with a pre-installed copy of Mario Kart and a download code for Splatoon. MCV is reporting that the package will cost €239.99 euros. So, UK buddies, if you want a Wii U and you think Splatoon or Mario Kart 8 is a really cool game, you got that to look forward to. I personally think Splatoon looks really cool, but not worth buying a Wii U for me though. Alright, up next, we got a quick one from IGN, and this is actually, there's a lot more on GameSpot if you want to read the giant articles that they're putting out there for this, but this kind of wraps it up pretty tightly without having to read through all of it, but it's very interesting. I encourage all of you to read it. It's about Fortress, the canceled Final Fantasy game. And this one's the art revealed. This is Alex Osborne from IGN, and it's a really interesting article. They got some artwork that looks pretty promising. It looks a lot like, well, they said it was a Final Fantasy 12 spin-off, so I'm sure they used assets from that game to make this game, but it looks a lot different though. Got canceled in 2009 by a company named Grin, who had been working on it before they had to close down. But that's pretty much the short of this article. Like I said, I'd advise you to read the whole thing on GameSpot. They have a really lengthy article if you're interested in any history of canceled games. Next we have Cyberpunk 2077 is far, far bigger than The Witcher 3, says CD Projekt Red. This comes by GameStop by Zanite. I'm probably saying that wrong. And in short, it says developer CD Projekt Red has described its upcoming sci-fi role-playing game, Cyberpunk 2077, as much larger than its recently released fantasy RPG. Sorry, still had Final Fantasy in the brain. The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. Speaking to MCV UK in an interview, visual effects artist Jose Texeria said Cyberpunk is far bigger than anything else that CD Projekt Red has ever done before. Far, far bigger. Texeria went on to explain how development on Witcher 3 helped the team as it worked on Cyberpunk 2077. The Witcher helped Cyberpunk quite a bit because the game got so big and so complex that it really taught us, he said. We really didn't know what was going to happen. If anything, working on The Witcher 3 was a really good and often brutal learning experience. Cyberpunk is going to benefit greatly from it. It can almost guarantee it. So, I think so far all they have is a little bit of artwork and a trailer for this game. And the trailer doesn't show any gameplay. It's a CG trailer. Looks really cool. Kind of worried about this game now that they say that, because The Witcher I purposely didn't get because I heard how long the game is and how much stuff there is to do, and that turned me off immediately. I'm not the type of person usually to spend 300 hours before I get to the end of the story. The exception with Metal Gear Solid 5, but then again, I'm close to 200 hours in it, and it only took me 60 hours or less, probably more like 50 hours, to beat the whole story. The rest of the time I've just been enjoying myself, checking boxes and getting all the blueprints and doing all the mission tasks and S-ranking all the missions. Trying to platinum the game has been the other 120 or so hours. So I heard The Witcher 3 takes a really long time to beat. Stayed away from it, and it looks like, even though I thought Cyberpunk's idea was pretty cool, I don't know if I'll be playing it if it ends up taking so long to beat. Here's a big one, this one by GameSpot as well. Comes by Timur Hussein, sorry about that. And it is Far Cry Primal trailer. Release date, gameplay details officially released. Ubisoft has officially announced Far Cry Primal, a new entry in first-person shooter series that ties players to the savage Stone Age. It will be released worldwide February 23rd, 2016. That's coming up soon. For PlayStation 4, Xbox One, followed by PC release in March. Now, this seems like a very, very different Far Cry game. It seems to, well, one thing, it's set in 10,000 BC, so no running around and doing guns. So you imagine then that they would take the great mechanics of the bow and arrow and use that in this game, I'm sure. And what else? I guess melee weapons like clubs and stuff. Maybe some harpoons you can throw at people. I don't know. It's a very different game, and I think this game might have been something else before Far Cry, before they put the Far Cry name on it, and then realized going into it that it had some similarities to Far Cry. So in order to get more hype for this game and probably sell more copies of this game, they threw the Far Cry name on it. Because I'm just interested. I'm sure it'll be a good game. Will there be outposts to take? What will they be like? Seems really cool that you're going to be able to run around the world where woolly mammoths and saber-toothed tigers are still walking the earth. So, I'm pretty optimistic about this game, and I don't know, looks really cool. Interested in seeing how Far Cry-y it gets. Alrighty, and last but not least, we have Capcom promises Resident Evil 7 news incoming. Great. The fact that they call it Resident Evil 7 already has me worried. But that's not all. I got this stupid ad up that won't go away. Anyways, that's not all. It also this is an article written by Luke Carmali on IGN, and it says Capcom has spoken about the future of some of its biggest franchises, including Resident Evil, Devil May Cry, and Dragon's Dogma. In the 600th issue of Dengeki PlayStation, published this week via Siliconera, Resident Evil producer Mashika Katawa answered questions about what we should expect from the developer. leading with the fact that news about Resident Evil 7 would be coming soon. We're currently not at a state to talk about it, but please stay tuned, he said. And of course, I believe that we should produce titles that bring out the horror. I'm thinking about it and also preparing for it. The magazine then asked Capcom producer Hiroyuki Kibayashi whether or not we'd be seeing titles in the Devil May Cry and Dragon's Dogma franchises anytime soon. Sadly, it's sounding like it may be a while. There are also things I'd like to personally do, but there are no plans for now, he explained. So, if you're excited about Resident Evil 7, there is that. And if you were hoping for another Devil May Cry, don't count on it, I guess. Which is unfortunate. I played a decent chunk of the new one that was it Ninja Theory made, I believe. DMC Devil May Cry. That was a really solid game, and in a lot of ways I almost liked it better than the other Devil May Cry games. I know people kind of threw a hissy fit because Dante looked different and his brother looked different, and the combat didn't feel like the old Devil May Cry, but I thought the combat was solid in that game. So it's unfortunate that they're not making a follow-up to that, it seems like. And also Dragon's Dogma, I know a lot of people like that. Don't they have an online version of that game? Like Dragon's Dogma Online or something? Maybe that's only overseas, but for the fans of that game, I know there's plenty of them. That sounds unfortunate as well. And this will bring us to the topic, which is going to be Resident Evil. Do you think they should reboot it? Because we just talked about Resident Evil just right now, and it sounds like, well, actually the article, let me see the quote real quick. Well, they did ask specifically, wait, just one moment. Okay, so never coming out of his mouth does, I'm sorry, Mr. Kawada ever say the words Resident Evil 7. So there's still hope. But if Capcom is like Capcom has always been, and they looked at the sales of 6, and even though there was so many people who said that game sucked, they're probably just going to keep on running Resident Evil into the ground and making it more action focused. I hope they don't. I hope they listen. It's an unfortunate thing because people still went out and bought this game and didn't vote with their wallets when they found out that this game wasn't good, and they still bought this game, and the game was still very successful, but it's also regarded as one of the worst Resident Evil games. So, mixed messaging there. I would hope Capcom would listen to the people, but they're probably looking at the piles of cash they made from Resident Evil 6 and saying, yeah, we're doing this again, which is shitty. I want them to go back to the drawing board, just reboot Resident Evil, the Resident Evil franchise altogether. You don't have to have, I mean, you could have the core of these characters again, like Claire and Chris and all the other ones, but you don't have to necessarily have them. Just have a solid horror zombie game. It doesn't have to be long, it doesn't have to be several campaigns long either. Just a solid zombie story where you don't have to shoot every single zombie to go to the next area. You can choose to run. solve puzzles. You know, remember puzzles in Resident Evil games? Resident Evil 1 was pretty much a puzzle game with zombies in it. And you were doing more running away from them than you were shooting them in the face. When you saw their face, because the camera in that game was pretty horrible. But I digress. It seems like they might, maybe they've learned their lessons. They did announce a Resident Evil 2 remake, which they didn't have a remake already, so that means they're pretty much going to be building that game from the ground up. Very excited for that. I know a lot of people are. So maybe they do know what they're doing with Resident Evil. I hope so. And let me know what you guys think about the Resident Evil franchise as a whole. Do you think they're going to keep on doing these action-oriented Resident Evils for the main franchise, and Revelations as more the horror, but kind of B-horror franchise? Or do you think they've kind of wisened up and seen what people like? You know, Resident Evil Remake, Remastered, did very well. They're doing Resident Evil 0, which was a pretty awesome game. They announced they're remaking Resident Evil 2, which hopefully they don't change too much about it. They just give it that very much needed facelift, you know, pretty much redesign the whole game but keep the core gameplay the same. So let me know what you guys think about Resident Evil and everything else. And if you like this video, please like it, share it with your friends, subscribe, enjoy. I hope you enjoyed all of the Metal Gear Online Let's Play going on in the background. It's a really fun game. If you guys haven't had an excuse to have Metal Gear Solid 5, Metal Gear Online is almost worth it without even playing the game. The game is great. I love the game. But if you're a competitive shooter fan who's kind of into games like, well, I don't want to compare it to Counter-Strike, but it does seem like it has the potential to be a Counter-Strike, I should say. And there's a lot of serious players in this game. And I don't know, just check it out if you haven't yet. And I'm sure a lot of you guys have. But yeah, like, subscribe, share. Have a great day.